Hello everyone, my name's Pete and I don't like MMOs. I also don't like Star Wars, so this week I'm going to double down on the things that I don't like. My reason for not liking MMOs is because I don't like one or two and I just made assumptions based on their small sample size. My reason for not liking Star Wars is because I think it's crap. But neither of these things mean I'm about to experience a bad game. The main point of this series has always been and will be to challenge my preconceptions of things and find positives, and playing a Star Wars game will be no exception. I've been playing a list of MMOs recently and the more I play the longer the list gets, so if you want to see more of this then consider hitting subscribe so you can follow along on my journey. As I launch the game, I'm shown that there will be an option later down the line to create a high-level character. I assume this is a shortcut to the newest expansions and, unless it's a paid feature, then it's a nice addition for veteran players. I'm also told that there is a possible 8 origin stories, and that's a lot. And no, I will not be covering more than one in this video. This warning weirdly adds some pressure onto character creation because I'm a little bit worried that I'll accidentally choose the wrong opening and I'll set myself up for being bored. I have to choose good guys or bad guys, and I'm going to be a goody two-shoes because that's the most boring. And now I get to choose whether or not I'm going to use a lightsaber. I choose to have 2 because I'm compensating, and then I get to choose my race. The choice right now seems restricted to what I perceive as human, devil or robot. I don't know enough about Star Wars to make an informed decision on anything here, so I go with the most basic looking human. There are other choices that are locked here, but there's no information on whether they're locked behind a paywall or I can get them through in-game means. The character customization's fine, but I do my usual bit of just smashing the randomize button until something passable comes up. I settle on this guy who looks like a member of an early 2000s boy band, and I decide that he should have all these scars, which, in my head, are the result of a horrific force shaving accident. Now I'm treated to an opening mocked up to look like the traditional Star Wars film opening sequence. After this, there's an exchange between my character and an NPC, and this is the second MMO in a row in which I have a voice. There are dialogue options here too, and this is really quite nice. I'm getting some very strong single player narrative vibes here, and I think I'm going to like it if this carries on. There's some exposition presented in a nicely paced narrative piece before I'm given control. And then, boom! The screen is filled with unexplained UI. Okay, so it's not an overwhelming amount of things, but when you're not expecting it and nothing's explained, it feels like a bit much for a second. This massive blue box on the left is really obtrusive too, so I'm really delighted to find I can dismiss it. I do wonder why I'd need that continuously open, and I'm just going to assume it's the late game. Up next, I click the glowing question mark and I get a series of text dump tutorials. They're not as egregious as Final Fantasy XIV's, but there's still quite a lot of information at once in a format that's quite tiring rather than interesting. I open the map to see where I'm supposed to go, and I notice that when I move it turns translucent, and that's a really neat touch. So far, the controls are very responsive. I'm yet to experience combat, but I remain hopeful. I'm shown the fast travel system, which is a taxi, and I wonder which clever taxi company got a contract sending recruits to the front line, because that is smart business. Not long after, I'm at the site of an invasion of flesh raiders, and it's now that I get my first taste of combat, and it feels really good. The leap ability gets me straight into a fight, and the attacks after that all feel meaty and impactful. I wander around completing my objectives of rescuing Padawans and killing stuff, and I get my first equipable item. Putting it on is as simple as a click, and the handy comparison window gives me a brief look at what improvements I'm making. As with all good systems, green numbers are all I'm looking for. I find the stranded trainees I was sent to rescue, and I'm pleased to see that this was taken as another opportunity to tell story rather than simply a mechanical exercise. The voice work here is really quite good and the characters have decent dialogue. I'm also introduced to the good boy and bad boy point system that occurs during quests when I'm presented with a choice on settling a dispute. I decide to double down on being an insufferable goody two-shoes and get rewarded with 50 light side points. I finally feel like the smart kid in class with a smug smile answering all the teacher's questions. I'm starting to properly take notice of my surroundings now, and I really quite like the art style. It's charming, and there's not much out of place visually. Another tutorial appears and tells me that as a free-to-play player, items in shops are going to have a higher in-game currency price than they would if I was a subscriber. This is a neat little perk and I'm not opposed to this system. The same tutorial box also teaches me that my light or dark side alignment will matter as a prerequisite for using items later on. This is an interesting way of encouraging some role-playing elements from players. Also, the colour of the light emitting from the lootable enemies dictates the rarity and value of the loot. This is good for prioritising what gets looted in places where there is a lot of loot and inventory space is tight. As I'm headed towards a cave for my next objective, there's a green barrier over the entrance. I get another tutorial that explains these barriers are cut-off points for instances in the world. A green barrier means I'm entering an instance that matters to me, and only my story will progress in there no matter who comes in with me. A blue barrier would be an instance belonging to someone I'm grouped with, and a red barrier means I just can't enter. This is a cool system. It's going to be clear from a glance what's going to happen when I'm approaching. I cross through the barrier expecting a loading screen, but no, it's a seamless transition into my instance, and this is great because everything flows with no interruption and I appreciate that. More text dumps appear, but I'm fine finding them useful at least, and they can't last the entire game, so I'm not going to get mad about it. I also hit level 4 and unlocked 2 new abilities, and this came just in time to stop the combat feeling repetitive. So far this has been really nicely paced in terms of both story and mechanics, and I've had fun the entire time. I earned more good boy points when dealing with an interaction with a bad guy by offering mercy. Then one of the big Jedi guys flexes by collapsing a cave with his thoughts, and I'm a little bit jealous. He tells me if I practice for a few decades I'll pick it up in no time, so thanks mate. There was a little plot twist here, nothing major but enough to keep me interested in the story. And on the way out I turned around to check, and yep, the barrier is now red because I've done my bit in there. I really like this system, it stops accidental backtracking too. On the way to report my success, I start using my Force Leap ability as a faster travelling method. The fact that it puts me into combat is a bonus because I'm really enjoying the fighting. Killing a certain enemy here activates a bonus quest to kill more enemies, and this gives a bit more meaning to fighting stuff on the way between objectives. And this is another really engaging design choice. Killing things is fun, and the game plays on that strength. I round a corner here and stop for a moment. There are 2 reasons for this pause. One was to appreciate the environment design here. This view of the Jedi Temple from the valley is a stunning scene, and it worked exactly as I think it was supposed to. The second reason was to make notes about seeing it. I head into the temple and I get a call on my holographic smartphone or whatever this is, and I'm told to meet someone before I report to the boss. A short conversation happens and then I'm ready to move on. I'm told about the title system, which can be added to my display name for certain things like killing, completing quests, etc., but I can't display it as a free-to-play account. I need to either subscribe or spend something called cartel coins, which I assume are some kind of premium currency. I'm not sure yet on that though. I head in to report to the council, only to find that the guy who sent me here to report is already here. Why didn't you report if you're so important? The dialogue in this scene is actually rather good and it flows really nice. There are no bad voice actors so far, the plot is being delivered in a way that feels comfortable and engaging at the same time, and the conversation trees actually offer a decent range of responses. When I exit the chamber, I click a green button on my UI and I find a daily reward screen. This is the first thing I've encountered that might be trying to encourage an addiction. Then I gain further appreciation for the environment design when I come across these folk meditating beneath a waterfall. The attention to detail in this world is really quite something. I haven't come across many side quests yet, and this has made me keep an eye out for them. Usually you can't move 10 feet in these MMOs without a pointless quest being available. I do pick one up and I'm told to complete some kind of ritual. My character is rightfully confused and the quest giver clarifies what's happening. Apparently I'm going up a trail to light some fires and to meet someone at the end of the trail. There are a few bonus quests on the way up there, and when I get to the end I'm treated to some more story. The side quest felt meaningful, and I was given a chance to test out my new abilities on a tough looking enemy, and I felt very strong. When chatting to the NPC, I also begin to appreciate the soundtrack. I don't know if this game has an original score or I'm just hearing the same old Star Wars music, but either way it's quite pleasing to hear. The Flesh Raider plot continues to develop, and I'm given a choice on how to settle things. The choice is as simple as light and dark side, but it's interesting that it's presented to me since I chose my alignment during character creation. Can I cross to dark side instead? I must be able to, so why was I able to choose at creation? Either way, I'm going to always choose the light side because I feel committed now, and if you don't like it, I don't care. I unlock even more abilities, and these feel really meaty and hit hard. I complete my good boy tasks along with my story tasks, capture some weapons for the villagers to defend themselves from the Flesh Raiders. I also find a little droid and I want to rescue him because he makes cute little boop noises that remind me of someone. It turns out he's my first companion and he heals me on my way back to town. When I do return, I report my success and my good boy points increase again when I tell someone to not get revenge for his dead wife, and then I'm presented with a dialogue option listed as flirting, and this can get out of the game right now. I despise romance in games. It's always handled in a really awkward fashion, and I'd rather this part be locked behind a paywall so I didn't even have to see it. I step outside to take some notes, and when I look up there are a few people who apparently really want to dance with me, so I join in. Thanks for the party, guys. I don't think I've even reached the end of my origin story, but I'm having a really good time here. Considering this is a combination of 2 things I don't like, it's actually been my favourite MMO so far. My logic for this is that a double negative becomes a positive, and this has all been a heckin' positive experience so far. I'll probably play more of this in my spare time anyway, so I'll post any updates if I have anything further to say, but meanwhile I've got a big list of MMOs to try out, and if you want to see what I think of those, then consider hitting subscribe because I'd just love to have you along for the ride. But for now, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.